Hello, I'm Simon Whistler. You're watching Today I Found Out, and in the video today we're looking at the chicken-heated nuclear landmine. Just before we get started with today's video, I do want to say that it's brought to you by Brilliant. To support Today I Found Out and learn more about Brilliant, you can go to brilliant.org/todayifoundout and sign up for free. Alright, so imagine it's 1957 and you're a high-ranking official with the British Army. You are responsible for keeping the West free from Soviet aggression. Now, at your disposal, you've got a great arsenal. You've got both conventional and nuclear weapons, as well as teams of brilliant scientists at the Royal Armament Research and Development Establishment who are constantly proposing new ideas for more effective weapons. One of your greatest concerns is that the Soviet Union might make inroads sufficiently into Western Europe to bring its advanced rockets and bombs within range of the British Isles. Now, recall that during World War II, Germany bombed the snot out of Britain with tens of thousands of bombs that were dropped from Luftwaffe aircraft. Then add into that the 10,000 long-range V-1 and V-2 cruise and ballistic missiles that were shot from sites in France and the Netherlands. Deciding that the best way to keep the Soviets from your doorstep is a scorched earth policy to deny occupation of the area to an enemy for an appreciable time, you choose from all your options that blowing any invaded areas in West Germany to smithereens using nuclear weapons is the best alternative. After all, this not only destroys enemy troops and denies them access to valuable infrastructure, but also makes the area around the explosion uninhabitable for some time after. Not content to rely on gravity bombs or missiles, your crack team concludes that nuclear landmines are the way to go. You settle on a 16,000-pound tub that resembles an enormous boiler from the outside, but inside hosts a large nuclear warhead and two firing units, with the design partially based on your country's first operational nuke, the Blue Danube. With a predicted yield of 10 kilotons, each bomb would create an estimated crater of 375 feet across for a surface blast and 640 feet if detonated 35 feet below ground. Versatile, the device could either be detonated by timer, capable of being set as far as 8 days in advance, directly with a wire from up to 3 miles away, or simply detonated automatically if any of several anti-tampering devices were activated. So after hearing about this, well, you decide to go right ahead with it. And this is exactly what happened in the real world. In July of 1957, the British Army Council ordered that 10 of these so-called Blue Peacock nuclear landmines be built. However, the designers of the bomb foresaw a problem. The bomb's sensitive components had to be kept at a certain temperature far above the average of mid-Europe in winter. They also had to be kept at that temperature for several days after an invasion and the subsequent deployment of the nuclear mines. At this point, the boy wonders floated a couple of options for warming the device. By far the most interesting proposal was to place a coop filled with chickens and seed inside the bomb before deploying it. The chickens could survive in such conditions for at least a week, plenty of time for enemy troops to approach the nuke after it was deployed. Now, critically, the chickens' body heat would maintain the proper temperature, while the coop itself would hopefully keep them from pecking at the delicate equipment. Perhaps realizing how ridiculous the chicken idea was, or more likely realizing the risks of nuclear fallout on neighboring Allied populations and political fallout once West Germany realized what the British had done to their homelands, invaded or not, in February of 1958, the MOD Weapons Policy Committee scrapped the project. However, 2 inert prototypes were retained, and one still exists to this day, although the public remained blissfully unaware of it until 2004, when Operation Blue Peacock was declassified and included in a National Archives exhibition. Given that the exhibit opens on April the 1st and a critical suggested component of the nuclear mines were chickens, more than a few people thought that Blue Peacock was an elaborate joke, forcing the National Archives to put out an official statement that read, "While it does seem like an April Fool, it most certainly is not. The civil service does not do jokes." So just before we get into the bonus facts for today's episode, I do want to say that this video is brought to you by Brilliant. Brilliant are an educational platform that lets you master math, science, and computational problems. Now, I always thought it was something that just applied to me. Now, I always preferred practicing problems rather than just sitting in a lecture hall and watching a lecturer go on about a subject. I always preferred to kind of get into things. Even if I was getting it wrong, I really felt that I was learning more just by trying rather than just passively sitting there and hoping to absorb the information. Now, Brilliant basically took this idea, which is called active learning, and and made it super easily accessible. And we're not talking either about beginner topics here. Brilliant jumps into challenging topics and makes them incredibly easy to learn. And more importantly, rather than just that passive learning, it's all about how to actually use the information that you've learned, how to apply it. So they take topics and break them down into puzzles and problems for you to solve, and that's pretty much from the get-go. There's no drifting off, there's no wasting time thinking you're learning when you really aren't. I mean, that was a serious problem that affected me. Brilliant get right to the meat of things, and they make you learn it in a really satisfying way. Whether you want to learn about physics relevant to this video, they've got courses on classical mechanics, or whether you want to learn something like machine learning or neural networks, Brilliant has courses on all of those. And they're really all taught in a non-daunting way, which makes it easy for you to apply yourself. I like it. I think it's just really a better way to learn things. And look, here at Today I Found Out, we could talk to you all day about nuclear bombs, physics, or anything else. But if you really want to learn how to apply this stuff, go over to brilliant.org/todayIFoundOut and sign up for free. The first 200 people to go through that link will get 20% off the annual premium subscription. So thank you to Brilliant for the sponsorship, and let's get into those bonus facts. Not the only animal-related weaponry to come out of the mid-20th century. During World War II, Soviets for a time trained dogs to run up to enemy tanks. So now you might be wondering, well, what possible damage could a dog do to a tank? Well, these particular dogs were eventually outfitted with a vest that included explosives and a metal rod that worked as a trigger via the dog running under the tank, with the tank bottom contacting the rod and pushing it down. As if being trained to be suicide bomber dogs wasn't bad enough, the dogs' training wasn't exactly a walk in the park either. The dogs were starved, and then food was placed under a practice tank, training them to think that food was under all tanks. After a while, additional battle sounds were added to their practice runs so that they wouldn't be spooked when they were running under the real thing. In the end, the whole experiment was a bust. Among other problems, the dogs in question had been trained with Soviet tanks, not German ones, so when deployed, beyond the dogs being much more skittish about running under tanks with guns ablazing than they were in training, some of the dogs simply chose to run under the Soviet tanks, blowing them up instead. That said, the anti-tank dogs are known to have taken out some tanks, including at the Battle of Kursk, in which 12 tanks were destroyed by 16 deployed dogs. And now for another bonus fact. On a similar note, American behaviorist and Harvard professor B.F. Skinner once teamed up with the US Army in the aptly named Project Pigeon. During the project, they designed missiles with a compartment at the front with 3 windows and a place for a pigeon to sit. The pigeons were then trained to peck the windows. But what would this do? Well, each peck would actually result in the missile changing direction slightly depending on which window was pecked. The pigeons were then trained to guide the missiles to whatever target Skinner wanted. In simulations, this worked incredibly well, with the pigeon-guided missiles almost always hitting their targets. The program was ultimately scrapped owing to hesitation among military brass to entrust the guidance of a live missile to a pigeon. As Skinner stated, the problem was not that the system didn't work, it was that no one would take us seriously. And now for another bonus fact. Bat bombs were another experimental weapon considered by the US during World War II. These bombs consisted of a bomb-shaped casing with several compartments inside. Each compartment housed a Mexican free-tailed bat. Each bat had a small incendiary device attached to it. The casings were refrigerated in order to lower the bat's body temperature and force them into hibernation until they were dropped from a plane. A parachute would slow the descent, and eventually the casing would be triggered to open and release the bats. As bats in sunlight would seek roosts in dark places like attics, when they were released and the sun came out, they'd seek such places. The hope was that the bats would find places, the timer would run out, and a lot of fires would be caused. Further, in many cases, the fire's existence wouldn't even be noticed until it had established itself. It was thought that bat bombs would be particularly effective in Japan, where buildings were largely made of wood and paper. Release them in major Japanese cities and the town would go up in flame, and there would be much smaller loss of life than if the cities were carpet bombed. Essentially, it would take out the infrastructure while minimizing civilian casualties. This actually worked remarkably well in testing. In fact, when some of the bats with incendiary devices attached escaped their cages, it resulted in a large part of the base they were being tested at, Carlsbad Army Airfield Auxiliary Air Base, burning down. Ultimately, the program was cancelled, however, because it was determined that the Manhattan Project was a more likely candidate for ending the war sooner, so resources were diverted to that. Both for the historical novelty of ending World War II with literal bat bombs, and for avoiding having to use a nuclear weapon in war, and the massive loss of life that would ensue, I think we can all, except for maybe the bats, agree that it's too bad that the timetable on the bat bomb project was considered too long. So I really hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please do hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Also, let me thank Brilliant for their sponsorship of this video, and you for watching.